Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Baseball Today. It is Plouffe and Rose. We are reunited. Oh, man. Once again, this new wacky schedule. We go 5 days without seeing each other. There's a lot to catch up on. How you doing, dude?
It's great to see your face. You keep saying this every show. I keep telling you we can get together on the weekends, but you're busy. You got a lot of jobs. You have several hats. Hats.
Yeah,
so,
although no hat on my head today because my hair, for some reason, is in almost pristine condition. And I feel like it would be cheating the world that consumes us on YouTube if I put a hat on this head today.
It's a nice coif you have going there for sure.
Yeah. I'll let you know a little secret. So yesterday I got called into service to cover our NFL game, the Browns and Raiders. It was kind of an emergency switch. You know, the game had to be moved because of COVID from Saturday to Monday. And we had a few personnel issues. And so they asked me on Sunday, my usual work day, hey, can you come in and host on Monday? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. No problem. But my hair was looking a little ratty on Sunday.
Okay.
I think Rob, our outstanding producer, Robbie Shiraka. Rob, you put that little picture out of me on the Rose rotation from Sunday, right?
I did.
Okay. So I looked at that and I said, okay, I look very tired, and B, my hair is looking a bit disheveled. Is there any way I can get the person that cuts my hair over to the house at like 7:30 in the morning before I head in? Yeah, there you go. See, it was looking a little unwieldy, Plouffe.
So you just had a emergency cut at the house.
Yes. Yeah, she came over and she did an emergency cut. And then I ran into work, and she must have put so much hairspray that more than 24 hours later, it still hasn't moved.
That's your show. I mean, look, you realized there was a problem. You took care of it. That's why you get paid the big bucks, buddy. I like that.
By the way, can we get a better shot than that one? Somebody screenshotted it and like stretched it out from yesterday. You know, it's like what the Barstool guys do with Joe Buck's head.
Oh, I love that.
He's on camera.
I love that.
That's some funny shit. All right, so staying hat free today, or should I go hat? Because I've got a new special hat I kind of want to show off.
I think you should do both for the audience. They saw your beautiful hair. Now you can show them the hat.
All right, new hat. I want to thank the Fresno Grizzlies for sending a new lid. Even though we're in a lockdown and it's the off season, minor league teams are still coming through. So we'll put the link in the discussions here on our YouTube channel where you can get this. They've got another one that I'm going to be wearing later in the week, which is flat out awesome. But I kind of like this. I'm digging it.
Yeah, that's a badass hat.
I know, right? Kind of goes great with the black hoodie. I feel like I've spun the odometer back.
You look like Fred Durst. That's who you look like. Dude, Limp Bizkit in the house, man.
Nice.
Can you sing something for us?
Yeah, no, I'll pass. Throat's a little gravelly, although that probably would work with some Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, Robbie, we need the split screen of C. Rosie and Fred Durst in post.
Yeah, in post. We'll see what we can do. All right, we actually did have some baseball movement over the last 24 hours, all of it happening in the dugout, but let's get to it. As expected, the New York Mets made it official on Tuesday. They have hired Buck Showalter as their next manager. Is he indeed the missing piece to return the magic to Queens?
I don't think he's the missing piece. And what's the magic? I need you to define magic. Is that?
Well, I would say in 2015, where they made it to the World Series, that was a magical run.
I don't think Buck's the guy that's going to put him over the hill, if you will. I think they've already done that with the offseason they've had.
Over the hill's like an old person term.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Whatever. You know what I mean, man. That's going to get him to that next level. I think they've already done that with the moves they brought in. We don't have to talk about them. Our people know. They brought in a ton of excellent ball players. That's going to help him. Now, Buck, I think maybe he ups the chances just because he'll have everybody on the same page. I think that's what Buck brings is just consistency. You know what he expects out of you, you know, how he wants the clubhouse to kind of feel. And that's going to be a constant throughout the season. And we talked about this a bunch on Talking Baseball yesterday. That's what a good manager does, you know, especially in today's game. The decisions are few and far between. That's, you know, there are some times where a manager still has to decide whether the starting pitcher is gas, when to bring the relievers in, all that stuff. That's about it. So Buck is really good for New York. I gave it an 8.5, I believe, yesterday out of 10,
That's high.
which is really high. I think it's a really good hire for them, especially considering what they've gone through in their last, I guess, can you count 3 managers? You got Mickey Callaway, you got Rojas, and you have Beltran. I mean, those all guys with, very little managerial experience. Here comes Buck with a boatload. Manager of the year in 3 different decades, I believe, which is insane. So that's what he brings. And when you have a team like this that's constructed to win, I think that's what you need. You don't need to take a chance on a guy, an unproven manager who maybe, the clubhouse is rocking a little bit instead of that steady ship that you need.
So it's interesting. This is the hire I expected all along. In fact, when you bring up the 3-time manager of the year, I believe he won it in 94, 04, and 2014. And wasn't it a month ago where I said that my prediction was he'd win it in Queens in 2024? And I guess I'll stick with that. Could be a fun bet, as we like to say. I think he needs this situation as much as the Mets need him. He has been in my opinion, a great manager, right? But what is the one thing missing? Consistent playoff victories and a World Series appearance. And I think between the financial support of ownership and the really good players that are on the field, he's got a great opportunity. There's been a lot written about him, about accepting ownership of failures and how he gets guys all rowing in the same direction. There's been fascinating stuff. There was a great column about how he mishandled the Zach Britton stuff in the playoff against the Blue Jays. And then in spring training the next year, or, when he gets everybody together, he apologizes in front of everybody. And I think that sort of stuff goes a long way for a clubhouse, does it not?
Of course it does. You want accountability because managers expect accountability out of you, right? And vice versa. That's how you earn the respect. I did see, there's a bunch of awesome Buck stories and quotes coming out now that he's been hired. Machado, I think it was Flaherty, who's a bench coach in San Diego now, was talking about how Buck was the first male figure to challenge Manny Machado, to say, this is what you have to do, and not be like a yes man around him. And Machado said, yeah, that is absolutely true. He taught me how to be a big leaguer. And that's kind of, look, you have the respect of the veterans if you can do that. And now you're helping, shape the future of your organization as well, and doing it the right way. So I'm happy for the Mets and Buck. And you made a great point. The financial commitment that he's going to have behind him is probably the biggest thing he's got going for him right now, besides all those awesome players.
So he's 65 years old. And when he started his big league managerial career, he was in his mid-30s in New York. So he managed there for 4 years. He understands that city. He understands the temperament. He's been a part of the media. He understands that side of it too. He is always prepared. I think this is a perfect match. And I think that this means a lot to him, because even though he won't say that it's about him, he knows what's on the line for his managerial legacy, right? I mean, if he doesn't make it to the World Series ever, people are going to say, well, what did you think of Buck Showalter as a manager? Yeah, he was pretty good. If he makes it to a World Series and wins one, that catapults him into a different stratosphere.
Yeah, I guess you're right. When you think about it, I think about him now as, a top tier manager already. But, then, if you look and there's no World Series, I still think he is. But you're right. There's no conversation then. If he wins a World Series here, then he gets put in the upper echelon of these managers for sure.
Totally. I mean, he gets put in the same area as like a Jim Leland type guy, I would say, who won a World Series and made it to another one with a different franchise. You're not going to put him in the same boat as a La Russa or a Bochy or a Torre or a Bobby Cox.
Hey, you don't know. Hey, we'll see how these next 4 years go.
That's true. Hey, man, they could run the table. Could be interesting. I just think it's going to be fascinating to watch. And the one other piece of it that we haven't talked about is now Yankee fans will have smack dab in the same city the ability. We know how much criticism Aaron Boone receives on a daily basis from the fans in the Bronx, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's it going to be like if Buck Showalter does a tremendous job cross town in a different borough.
They're going to be more of the same, calling for Boone's head.
But I think that'll be just another fun element of this entire discussion.
Buck is going to be a lot of fun in New York. I think
Totally.
I think Buck is sneaky show too.
Oh,
I mean, he's got in his last name, show.
He does. Yeah.
I want to see him out of some fancy restaurants, dining and doing that. Do you think that's him? He's a Mississippi guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he went to Mississippi State.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
He's not like you. He's more like me, like a grinder.
Yeah, because that's what I'm doing. I'm hitting Tao as much as I can, at least 4 nights a week, in my black hoodie and my Fresno Grizzlies lid. Hi, reservation for 4 for Durst at 7:30. Thank you.
Me and my band.
Another managerial move. John Heyman is reporting that Mark Kotsay is getting bumped up. That's right. He'll be the new manager, replacing Bob Melvin out there in Oakland. Is there a little bit of you that feels badly for Mark Kotsay that now he is getting his first shot at a time where the A's are launching the for sale sign in their front yard? Everything must go.
Not really, and I'll explain why. The one part of me that feels like that is because I know he has a really good relationship with Olsen and Chapman, like a really good relationship. These guys love Kotsay, and we're thinking at least one of those guys is probably going to be gone, possibly both. So I think with those 2 players, I think that means something to him. But other than that, I'm going to steal this from my good buddy Dallas Braden, who is obviously very plugged into the Oakland situation.
Mm-hmm.
He said this is a great opportunity for a first-year manager coming in with lower expectations. If you're coming in and it's like, hey, we got to win now, and something happens, then people start to talk. But we're understanding that Oakland is in sort of possibly, because they haven't done it yet, the lockout, possibly a rebuild where they're going to get rid of some of their players. But in Oakland, they don't fully rebuild ever. They're constantly rebuilding almost, right? Like there's never a window or not a window. So I think Kotsay is the perfect guy there. He's put his time in. He was a third base coach last year. I just know they respect him a ton in Oakland. And he's one of those guys who has the old school mentality. He was a player in that time where it was like shut up and grind, no frills baseball essentially. But he's also young enough where he understands that that's kind of where the game has gone. So I think he has the perfect mixture of that old school mentality, but still understands, what guys like in the game. And that helps you with your clubhouse. And again, that's a manager's job, is to make sure your clubhouse is good. Make sure the guys are there every day, feeling good, feeling positive, feeling confident. And Kotz has got that in spades. Like I remember, he was there when I was in Oakland, and just, he'd pump you up. And it doesn't seem like much of the time, but you got to have someone like that. And if you have your manager being the guy that pumps you up, it helps so much. So I'm disappointed that if he doesn't get to manage Olsen and Chapman, but at the same time, I think it's a really, really good situation for him and the A's. I like this hire better than I like the Buck hire, and I really, really like the Buck hire.
Wow, better.
Yeah.
Well, I think that as long as Billy Beane and David Forst can convince ownership, hey, things could get a little dicey here for a year or two. It really could on the field. As long as he has that support, I think it's going to be just fine. And, he's going to have to learn his managerial voice. It's one thing to be a 17-year big leaguer. It's another thing to be a bench coach, another thing to be a third base coach, things of that nature. When you move up to the biggest chair there is in the dugout, this, Plouffe. You've seen the difference when guys have made that move. Sometimes it can be a little rickety.
It can be. I think he has the demeanor for it, though.
Oh, I agree with it.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's with him in like the peer-to-peer stuff, there was always still a sense of respect with it. It wasn't like, hey, I'm joking around with my buddy here. Like you still respected him because you saw the work that he was putting in as a player and then as a coach. And really that's kind of all players want, is knowing that you're willing to work with them whenever, or willing to put in the work. And especially for a manager, I think that He just has it. He has the respect already. I don't know how else to say it.
No, it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. I'm really happy for him. I remember the first time I saw him play. It was my first full-time on-air job out in Reno, Nevada, and the Nevada Wolfpack was in the same conference as Cal State Fullerton. And they would play a full weekend series. They would come up and play their Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I remember hearing, yeah, they've got a really good team, and we think they've got the best player in the country. And I was like, oh, wow, this should be interesting. Dude was unbelievable. It was like Danny Almonte playing Little League World Series, even though physically he wasn't imposing. But he was just hitting rockets. He was throwing the ball from right field. Then he'd come in and pitch, and I was like, Jesus. It's like
that's the Matt Chapman connection. That's why they're so close, is the Cal State Fullerton thing. And I believe also KD, Chris Davis, went to Cal State Fullerton. So there's that. And that's a grinder college right there, dude. If you're playing at Cal State Fullerton, think about the guys that went through there. Kurt Suzuki, grinder. Like,
I think my man Justin Turner went there.
JT went there. There's a lot of guys that came through Cal State Fullerton. I love this move. I
like
really
that.
do.
Didn't they used to wear the pinstripes back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
They still, I don't know if they still have those.
I'm gonna ask you a question now.
Yeah.
Young, fit, big kind of guy. Is he automatically at the top of the, like when everyone gets in the ring in wrestling, what is that called?
The Royal Rumble?
Is he the king of the Royal Rumble of MLB managers now?
Oh, man. Well,
I'm trying to think who else. He's a big young guy.
Kapler.
Cap, yeah. Oh, in the Bay. Oh my goodness.
You know what? This has got to be a special edition.
Yeah.
Where we would rank it. That's a great call. Okay. We're going to do that one time. The only other guy I would throw in there, he's a little bit older than those guys, but don't bet against him. Mike Matheny.
Yeah.
First of all, his hands they're like a catcher's mitt. They're so big and strong. You're like, oh, geez. And he's still really fit. Like, that's the guy who's going to be throwing people out of the ring.
You know who sneaky was like that? Was Jeff Bannister when he was with the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he'd be in there working out in the morning, just getting after it. And you're like, this guy's kind of old. Then you'd shake his hand and you'd be like, oh, shoot. Like, old man strength, plus he's still working out. He's got me. I can't say shit to him.
Dude, I love that. I think we should it should be the two of us, and maybe we get one other person to have a Royal Rumble managerial draft. We each get 10 managers.
Oh, baby. Where's Buck slide in on that scale?
But we're giving away too much. I think we do that as a special Baseball Today edition.
Okay, we'll do it.
I like it. Okay.
We're in a lockout, people.
I was looking around the social media verse and saw Cubs fans out caroling a little bit and changing some of the lyrics, perhaps to draw a big name free agent. Give a listen.
It's bringing me back right there, Ciro.
That's very cute.
That's like me in third grade in church right there.
If you can't quite make it out, Correa, come play in Chicago is what they're saying. First
Great
of all, nice
song,
effort.
Man.
I had to listen to it about 10 times to really figure it out. So maybe if we can work on our caroling, it's always hard. I think I never went caroling as a kid, but I used to obviously sing in a choir as a kid, just at school, and we do like a Christmas concert or whatever. Even though I'm Jewish, whatever. They let the
That's
Jewish
fine
thing too, because it's seasonal. We sounded.
You got a voice,
huh?
You got a good voice.
Average.
Oh, so you do.
Average. I can sing a little bit. It depends. It's got to be right in the range. Got to be right in my sweet spot.
I did it all for the Nookie. Come on, the Nookie. Mm-hmm. That's Limp Bizkit.
Do you sing holiday carols? Oh God, there it is. There it is, Chirac.
There it is. Oh my! What? Like next Halloween? This is it.
Hold on.
Oh my God!
What do we think? For
It's
those
perfect.
of you that are audio only today, you
It
are
is.
missing out. Go to the YouTube and just find this freeze.
It is absolutely perfect. That's
Good
got to be
call,
your
dude.
new karaoke. I'm gonna send you over some stuff. Okay.
All right. Now let's talk about the idea of Carlos Correa on the north side of Chicago.
Let's talk about it.
Pipe
What do you want to
dream
know?
or possibility?
It's possibility. Look, anybody can sign Carlos Correa. You know what you have to do?
Spend money.
Yeah. 9 figures, and it starts with a 3. That'll get it done. But I don't know if he's gonna find that anywhere. There was talks that the Tigers went 2 or 10 years, 275. That's
Right.
what Buster Olney was saying, which is not 9 figures with a 3. And he's looking to set the market, which Corey Seager set. And I just don't think it's there for him. There's some interesting talk about, well, if he doesn't find something like that, it doesn't seem to me like he's going to take a deal for, $27 million a year. There's a chance of the 1-2 year deal, maybe 1 year with a player option of big money. And that could be in Houston. He'd go back and run it back with the boys. Or teams might start offering him that. If teams are like, hey, we don't want to commit 10 years, Carlos, but we are willing to commit, 3 years at whatever your annual salary wants to be. So I think there's going to be a lot of teams coming out of this lockout with some interesting plays for Carlos Correa, because that 10-year thing, that's, teams just really don't like to do it.
I understand it. And I think it's smart financially for teams to start looking at those short-term big money deals that we've seen certainly being given to pitchers more so than hitters. Excuse me. As far as the idea of Correa ending up on the north side, it just doesn't feel. I know that ownership gave Marcus Stroman a nice deal, but this would be a different sort of stratosphere. And I don't know if that's where they are based on what they've done payroll wise over the last few years. That just doesn't match up. People could say, well, why would Correa want to go there? I don't know. I mean, I think if you feel like a place, even if they haven't done as well as they've wanted to the last 2 years, as long as there's financial commitment and backing and a front office that says we're willing to make moves and add guys at the trade deadline is during your negotiations, whether or not you want to believe them, that's a different thing. I just don't think that the Cubs are in that space right now. I could be reading the tea leaves wrong.
It doesn't seem likely, but you can't just completely rule it out. I think they're another team. Yeah, they went through that massive rebuild. They were one of the stars of the rebuild program, and they got all their guys and their draft picks, and it worked out for them. I don't know if they're going to go through that big of a rebuild again this year. So if they're thinking, hey, like we have Stroman locked up, and maybe if we have a centerpiece in Carlos Correa, then we make some trades here and there, we can get back into contention rather quickly. But like I don't know where their mindset is at.
Yeah, but let's remember that when the Cubs were building that championship team, they knew all those young guys were coming up, right? Bryant, Schwarber. They had, brought in Rizzo, who was still very early in his career. Baez, right?
Yeah.
And then what did they do? They supplemented that with very, very big key free agent signings. John Lester, Ben Zobrist. Say what you want about Hayward, but he gave a hell of a speech during a rain delay in Game 7 of the 2016 World Series. So they brought in guys that were going to be on top instead of the guy that was brought in to kind of spin the whole thing.
I'm trying to look up where they're where they rank in their farm system. I got it up right here. Let's check it out.
What do you got? Anything interesting?
I'm scrolling. The further I go down, the worse it is, people.
Oh, man.
Let's just say they're not in the top 10. So look, yeah, I think it's a stretch to have Carlos in Chicago. But again, any team can have Carlos Correa if they just pay the man.
Okay. Last thing we saw, man, what a great offseason for Ichiro, although he's retired. So I guess every day of the rest of his life is an offseason.
Yes.
But it continued with him befuddling a really, really good elite girls baseball team in Japan. I think he hit a couple of batters. He threw like 100.
You hit a couple of them?
Huh?
He hit somebody?
I think he hit 2. Yeah. And one of them was like, hey, okay, it stung a little bit, but hey, I got hit by Ichiro. So
True.
it's kind of cool. I think he went 8 innings, 147 pitches, struck out 17, something totally ridiculous, topped out at 84. And I think he's like 48 miles an hour. So let's just start with the fact how amazing the last few weeks have been with Ichiro. We saw him work out with a baseball team, a boys baseball team. He threw this game against an elite girls baseball team. We saw him show up at Dice K's retirement and kind of steal the show. Like, the dude is a living legend.
He is. That's exactly what he is. He's a living legend, can go anywhere and just have a great time. He's like the world's most interesting man.
Right. He is.
He really is.
Is there somebody when you were playing high school baseball where you would have freaked out if they had come and like you had a chance to step into the box against somebody?
Yeah. So the guy that I always like loved watching pitch, there's 2 of them. Eric Gagne, one of them, who I just played golf with not too long ago. That was cool.
Oh, okay.
My
Name
bad.
dropper.
And then it was Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson was like the scariest pitcher alive for a long time for the young kids that are watching this show. A long time, the scariest pitcher ever. So I would have loved to see that. And I'll give you a quick little Randy Johnson story. I get drafted, young kid out of high school, go into pro ball. I think that my second year of pro ball. So I'm 18, 19 years old. I get called up from the minor league side in spring training to go over to play in a big league game. And like, sounds stupid now, but like at the time, that's like a dream. You feel like you're in the big leagues. You get to wear a fitted hat, a leather belt, all these cool things. So I'm stoked about it, but also very nervous. So I go there, sit on the bench for the first 5 innings, and Randy Johnson's pitching. And I'm like, okay, at this time he's with the Yankees, old Randy Johnson, but still Randy Johnson. So I'm thinking I'm not going to play to like the 7th or 8th inning because usually you just come in, you pinch run, whatever. Well, I think someone got hurt. Boom, Plouffe, like you're on deck. And so I get on deck and I look, I'm like, holy fuck, it's Randy Johnson on the mound. What am I doing here? You know, I'm so scared. And there's 2 outs. And finally I was like, you know what? I'm about to get Randy Johnson right here. I'm like watched him. Anyways, the guy strikes out, end of the inning. I don't end up facing Randy Johnson, but for a while I convinced myself that I was about to take Randy Johnson deep. Probably would have ended up differently, but Randy Johnson to me was the epitome of like a big league pitcher who, you know, was otherworldly.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great one, actually.
Now he takes photos all the time.
I know, right? It's insane. I saw
Who's your guy?
I mean, listen, I wasn't a good baseball player, right? I stopped playing after 8th grade. I was the manager of our high school team. Why? Why are you giving me that look?
That's a look.
I wanted to be a part of a team. I wasn't good enough to play. Our coach back then, Chuck Selbach, he played in the show for about 5 years with the Tigers. Billy Martin blew out his arm in the early 70s. But I loved being a part of the team. A lot of my best friends played on the team and stuff. So, you know, I'd get to take cuts during BP and stuff. They'd still let me practice with the team and stuff. So that was fun.
Did he ever pitch to you guys? Like, hey,
Chuck did not. He did not. His arm was kind of just so shot.
We had Mark Gubazza, former major league pitcher. They're just doing story time right now, real quick again. Yeah. Mark Gubazza, he does broadcasting for the Angels now, was a pitcher with the Royals, and I'm sure some other teams.
Like Angels, I believe.
Royals and Angels. Stud. He was coaching our rival high school when I was playing in high school. So I was at Crespi High, he was at Chaminade High, and we were really, really good my senior year. I think we were ranked top 10 in the nation. Like, everyone knew we were really good. Everyone knew who I was because I was, you know, I was going to be a first-round draft pick. In high school, yeah, sure. So what he did to get his team ready for me is he got on the mound and just he said he let it fly. Like, I talked to him years later after they beat me. He threw as hard as he could all week at practice to get him ready for me. And sure enough, they came out ready and they beat me, man, on their own field. Yeah. We should have crushed them, but they ended up beating me. And he said, yeah, like the whole week he was just on the mound, throwing as hard as he could, getting ready for us. And he said he threw his arm out, but it was worth it because they beat us.
Wow. He's such a good guy, Gooby.
It was good. We had some heated battles, man, back in the day.
So it was Gubazza and Saberhagen coached at, where'd he coach? At Calabasas?
Calabasas, yeah. We used to tear them up though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
A little interesting story time. Never hurts. All right, tell me a story. What you got coming up on JOMBOY?
Kind of a emotional episode of Sequence will be coming out later today.
Emotional.
It's possibly the last ever Sequence episode.
Whoa.
Nothing official yet, but it's quite possible that that'll be the last one ever. So I went with my all-time favorite at bat, and it has nothing to do with me hitting a home or anything. I just go check it out.
Wow.
That's coming out today.
Well, if it is indeed the final episode of Sequence, do you need me to voice the trailer? Like, I'll be happy to do it. It started in the garage of Trevor Plouffe, trying to bring baseball fans something they normally don't see when they watch the games. Matt Chapman diving to his left. No?
Pretty good.
And today, it all ends. One final at bat. It's Trevor Plouffe, his untold story.
This is a good one too. I like this episode, so go check it out.
Wow.
Again, nothing's 100% official, Chris. I can't bring you in unless it's 100%.
Wait, this
official.
isn't the last show of Baseball Today. Are you trying to tell me something? Is this
no?
it?
Because of Baseball Today and some other things that you and I want to do, there's a possibility that Sequence gets the squeeze. But again, nothing's official.
Okay. All right. We have the latest episode of the Rose Rotation. It is out with Miguel Rojas. We catch up with him. He's in Venezuela. And we put the clip out yesterday. One of the many reasons he is back in his homeland is he is spending time with his mother, who, if you've been tuning into his episodes on the rotation, you know that she's battling cancer for like the third or fourth time. She sounds like a remarkable woman. She's a doctor down there, raised Miggy, and is just a constant fighter. And he opens up about it. It's very difficult. She is not doing great health-wise, but he really lends some amazing perspective on where he is, where she is, emotionally and mentally, and how important this time is for him, because he says during the year, once February starts and spring training goes, he is all in on baseball, and it's very, very difficult for him because she can't travel to the United States. She has to stay there for her treatment. Really gets into that a lot. We do cover a bunch of other things. We talk about what's going on in the baseball world right now with the lockout. He's the Marlins player rep. We talk about some fun things. It's not just a heavy dose but it's kind of a whole cross section of life. So I think you'll enjoy the episode. In addition, I am taping a lockout show today with Lucas Giolito, Marcus Semien, and Zach Britton.
Love this.
Yes, it's going to be really interesting. And what we're going to do is, you don't sit there and say, oh, God, I'm going to get hit over the head with labor talk. I think it's going to be very unlike anything you've really heard before. Because a lot of what you may have read or heard in mainstream media, I think, has been more from an ownership angle. You haven't heard a lot from the players. I know that Andrew Miller did Starkville with Jason Stark, who's a guy I really respect and like a lot. This is going to be very different because it's going to have three different voices coming from three different perspectives of kind of where they are in their careers, right? Zach Britton has already cashed in on his big contract. Plus, he's a guy that's hurt right now, trying to rehab, and he can't do that with the help of the team. Marcus Semien just signed one of the biggest free agent deals we've seen out there. Lucas Giolito is a guy who's still in arbitration and is waiting for his big payday. So we're going to be talking about all the different angles. What is it exactly that the players are after? How can they boil it down so that we, as just average fans, can digest what you're doing, what you're fighting for? When we see teams spend almost $2 billion in the month of November, why is the system broken from your standpoint? Where do we go from here? And most importantly, what does it mean to us as fans? Like at the end of December, it means something different than if we're still stuck in this at the beginning of February.
Sure. It's going to be very interesting to listen. And I just want to let you know that Talking Baseball is the #1 labor pod in the history of the world. Now you're trying to take our shine. It's okay.
That really wasn't my goal. But
I think That's going to be a fascinating listen just because of what you said. 3 guys at different parts of their career, all very in tune with what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's tough with a lockout because there's not a lot of stuff happening, but to get their perspective, I think is really important. And instead of blanket statement, millionaires versus billionaires, let's hear some people talk. And it's on both sides too. Like, I want to hear what players have to say. I want to hear what the ownership has to say. That's the way that you're supposed to ingest things like this. Like, let's get both sides, make your own decision on, whose side you want to be on, all that stuff. I think you're doing the people a service, Chris. Like always, you're a stud.
We're trying. And then after that, we've got our Hall of Fame show, which we taped recently. That's going to be coming out. So we've got a lot of interesting things that are happening here. It just doesn't stop. Even though baseball has stopped, we don't stop. And that's the thing here at JOMBOY Media that I want people to understand. There's a lockout. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Cubs 18th ranked farm system in all of baseball.
Good. Okay, so that would
2
be
people in the top 100. So yeah, I don't know.
Bottom half of the league. Is that during the lockout, we're not going anywhere.
No.
Okay, so there's not player movement. That doesn't mean that we can't have fun doing the speculation game or come up with a great event like you just did today, Plouffe. I'm going to be working on that Baseball Today managerial Royal Rumble. Dude, we're going to do it. We're going to get a third. Robbie, pop on here a second.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about maybe being the third member of our managerial Royal Rumble?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Would you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think it'd be fun.
It'd be nice. The only thing you would need to do is get non-reflective glasses.
Oh, yeah.
If I have to look at you like, no. See, now, when you take your glasses off, then it really freaks me out.
You're too good looking.
God almighty.
Hey, also, we're plugging everything right now. Be on the lookout for my Night Before Christmas poem by Dr. Plouffe. It'll be out on Christmas Eve.
Oh my God. That's great. I will read it while I'm eating my green eggs and ham. I can't wait.
It's going to be a video. So, you can just watch it.
That'll be awesome. All right. Robbie, we done for the day? I think that's it.
I believe so.
Plouffe, we're done.
Boom.
And we're doing this Thursday.
Yeah.
It's our Christmas Eve show. It'll be.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you very much for tuning in. However you consume us here on Baseball Today and JOMBOY Media. For our awesome producer who's got to work on his non-reflective glasses, Robbie Scirocco and Trevor Plouffe, I'm Chris Rose. See you next time here on Baseball Today. All right, Fred Durst, do your thing.